Hey, what's going on, good people? Welcome to Russ Can Fly. Let's get it.
Perfect.
Okay, so you know how we do. Before I take off and do this next cross country, want to give a subscriber shout out to my brother, Hella Pappy. Hella Pappy! Yo, this brother is learning how to fly a helicopter. Now, I tell you, I'm all down with the fixed wing aircraft thing, but helicopters, nah, I'm good. You got that, brother. So Hella Pappy, he's got his own YouTube channel, so check him out. And yeah, he's doing helicopter flying, and I think he must be getting close because he's been doing solos and stuff like that. So hats off to you, Hella Pappy. Thanks for joining the brother on this journey. All right, let's make it happen. All right, got the prime on the brakes. Okay, prop.
It's not a flying 717 Golf. You don't get the right key the first.
It wouldn't be a flight. Okay, so I'm going to tell you right now, this video is going to suck. I mean, I sat here trying to think of how I was going to salvage this video, make it entertaining, make it informative, make it meaningful, because I hate to waste people's time. But I feel committed to, you know, showing the good, bad, and the ugly. And everything about this day and this flight just sucked. I mean, only one camera decided it wanted to work. So you're not going to hear any, you know, cockpit stuff. You're not going to see any behind the head shots. This is the only camera angle. And the other thing is, man, did I fly horribly. I had one good landing, I'll put that in there. But this cross-country flight, it was one of those things where I just was off. I got behind the airplane. I didn't understand what I was doing. I got lost at one point. I will actually point that out to you. Yeah, this is rough. So let's go through it. And you're going to have to listen to me drone on and on, unfortunately. But let's get to it. Okay, so this first leg of the flight was set up for failure from the beginning. So as you see me taking off, I am taking off from Wings Field to Morristown Airport in New Jersey. I had planned to fly a magnetic heading or a compass heading of 058. So I don't think that was necessarily a bad heading. In fact, it was pretty decent because I had a little bit of a wind and all that kind of stuff. So I think I had predicted the winds pretty good and all of that kind of stuff. The problem was that I did not really calculate the ground speed correctly. I thought I was only going to be flying about 100 knots over the ground, and in reality, because of the winds, we had a real tailwind. And I knew I'd have one, but it was more aggressive than I thought. We ended up flying about 140 knots over the ground, which is unusual for these Cessnas. They usually fly anywhere from 105 to maybe 115, 120. So right from the word go, I'm already in trouble because I'm flying faster and I'm gonna get to places faster than I'm used to. And that was the beginning, the first link in a chain of real problems. So, first problem, ground speed calculated incorrectly. Second problem is I'm flying with instrumentation that I don't really understand. Now, normally I fly in Quebec Sierra. It wasn't available. So I was flying in 717 Golf and it has some avionics in it. And I had no clue how those avionics operated. That wasn't good. I should have asked a lot more questions about what was happening, and I just didn't. And you can see in this video, you can see my CFI pointing at this, looking at that, and I'm asking him, oh, does it go this way? I have no clue what's going on. And the problem is, I'm still supposed to be trying to navigate where I am and understanding where I am on my flight plan. And all of that was just getting lost. So, second problem, not understanding the cockpit instrumentation, and just being lost. Now, because of those two problems, now I'm running into problems with understanding where I am. And you can see my CFI actually shake his head like, you're getting behind. Do you know where you are? Do you understand what's happening? And I really don't. I'm getting to my waypoints a lot faster. And because of that, I have a lot of altitude that I have, but I have to lose. And actually, a couple fellas from the Black Pilots of America, the Roscoe Draper chapter, we get together and talk about things about like glide slopes and when you need to, be at traffic pattern altitude. Well, this was completely jacked up. I got within, I think, 2 miles of the airport and was still probably a good 2,000 to 2,500 feet above traffic pattern altitude. I mean, it was bad. So at one point, I'm basically point the nose down, my ears started popping, and that's just not good. That's just not good piloting at all. So I would say my third problem here was just a failure to have situational awareness, and understanding where I am, projecting myself out in space, all of that good stuff. And poor planning, just a failure. Now this clip is actually downright embarrassing. I want you to watch this clip. I'm gonna keep the whole thing in, but right now I'm looking at the runway and I am basically flying what's called a downwind leg, or I'm flying to the left of the runway, and I'm now turning towards it, so I can be perpendicular to the top and what they call a base turn. And I basically lose the runway. So you see me looking down just that quick right there, just looking down, I completely lose the runway. So you can see my face. I'm looking. So I'm actually going to shut up and you will see what happens. Just watch this. This is so ridiculous. And right there, that's what my CFI basically says, okay, dude, I'm gonna basically bail you out and show you where the runway is. And I had no clue where I was. Now, here's what's really scary about that. Imagine if my CFI was not sitting next to me. I don't know if I ever would have found the runway. I did not see it. And in fact, when he pointed the runway out to me, it still took me a while for my eyes to become oriented. At this point, I think I am just so flustered by how poorly I'm flying that my brain is just not registering what I'm seeing. And what really freaks me out is I think I may have just flown in circles until I saw the runway. And I think the only thing that I would have done was maybe call the tower and basically said, I can't find this runway. And, that's a really crazy proposition because there were other planes flying into and taking off from that runway at that airport. And so I could have caused some serious problems had I been in that airplane by myself and have not found that runway. So that was an absolute disaster. So just failure to, just stay aware of where I was and what was happening. I think out of everything that happened in this flight was probably the worst thing. And that, that was just awful. Put this clip in there because I'm a glass half full type of guy, and so I wanted to talk about something positive. This landing was probably the best landing I've ever done. So after not being able to find the runway, I nailed this landing. It just kissed the ground, and even my CFI, who at this point was pretty flustered and kind of flummoxed about like what was happening to his student, did say that that was a pretty good landing. So that was one of the the highlights. All right, so let's get into a few other things, and I am going to put myself out of my misery and end this video. Okay, so this fifth problem was glaring, and it was just so embarrassing. So if you saw me reach up, what you saw me reach up and grab was the checklist. And if you've seen, you don't see me reaching up to grab that checklist too often. That's horrible. At each phase of flight, there is a checklist of things that you have to do during that phase of flight. And for whatever reason, I just was completely blowing off the checklist, and that's not good. There's certain engine settings, there's certain things that you're supposed to set in terms of like the mixture for the amount of gas to air ratio. In some instances, you may need carburetor heat to keep engine icing, just all kinds of stuff. And a couple times my CFI said, you're in your cruise phase. What should you do now? And I was just like, duh. And he was like, Russ, grab the checklist. So failure to use checklists at the various phases of flight, not good. No bueno. So bad, and I was so off course that at one point my CFI just said my controls, and basically just took the controls from me to get us back on a good flight path. I was basically flying all over the place. So sixth problem, failure to follow a good ground track. Hey, just watch this landing. So this is after this, ground track issue. Watch this landing. Yikes, homie, yikes. Yep, it was as hard as it looks, and yes, those are the stripes next to us. I am way to the right of the runway. And as you can see, I kind of start going over to the left, and man, that landing was terrible. I've had better landings even before I soloed. So yeah, man. Yeah, so I'm still trying to decipher how bad this flight was. I will tell you that I thank the Lord for this YouTube channel and for people who look for Upload Fridays, because I gotta tell you, my inclination was, once I saw my cameras were all jacked up and my CFI was so disappointed and I was so disappointed, if I wasn't doing this, you know, sharing this journey, I think that would have been the end of it. I just would have been like, I've been at this for so long, you know, the money that I'm spending, which, you know, money is a tool, and I'm learning a skill, you know, but, you know, I have to admit, you know, at that point I felt like, you know, I'm wasting it because I just suck. And so yeah, this was a tough day. And I will tell you that, you know, I didn't sleep well that night, and it just was bad. So, but I didn't want to hide it, and I wanted to share it. And I know all of you are saying don't be hard on yourself, and I appreciate that, but wow, I've heard people have these type of flights, and I have to admit that I've been blessed to never feel so frustrated that I thought about like throwing in the towel. But I tell you, after we got back to Wings Field, I was just like, you know what, to hell with this. I am just completely done. So, but I know you guys are all out there cheering me on, praying for me, and so I'm gonna hang in there. I'm gonna run on and see what the end is gonna be. I'm going to, you know, continue, and prayerfully, you know, I'll do much better. So it's not to always do the best, but to just hang in there and do my best. So anyway, all right, let's end this. Okay, good people. So take this off. So every now and then you have one of these flights where it's just like, why am I doing this? And this was one of those flights. These cameras were tripping. I couldn't get myself together, so I know this video is a little weird, and sorry if it's disjointed, but yeah, I came back and I noticed my cameras are all jacked up, and I'm all jacked up. But you just gotta have these days like this. So I pray that you guys are all safe in this pandemic. And thank you for following me on this crazy journey. As you can hear, the wind is kicked up pretty good. But yeah, I mean, this was a really tough and frustrating day. That you just have them. I mean, this is what it is, you know. So at any rate, thank you for joining me on this journey. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. And I thank you for joining me. All right, Russ Kid, I'm the heck out of here. Woo! All right, see ya.